Good evening, it's Owen and Julian sitting here on my roof in the Hollywood Hills of Los Angeles, and what we're going to be shooting into right now is a video on the power of your release muscle. And what do I mean by a release muscle? That could mean a lot of very interesting things. What it is it is something that is in direct contrast to your control muscles. What do we mean by that? Well, in life, we're taught that we have to control everything, and that if we overthink things, that we'll find the solution. But there's this other power that you don't even know you have that's completely amazing, which is about letting go and letting things come to you. And this will allow you to be at your optimal power. Now, the simple question that I lead into this with is, what happens to you when you dream? What happens to your imagination when you just completely let go, fall unconscious? What does your mind start doing? It comes up with all this crazy stuff. And what also happens when you really let go, maybe during intimacy, right? What happens? You'll feel really good. What happens when you're dancing, going crazy, and you let go? Or maybe you're in the zone in sports and you let go and something's moving through you. So this video is designed to be on this topic of your release muscles. And what you're going to learn here is really a process that both Julian and myself have used for many, many years. Now, the video that you're about to watch, funny enough, is a seminar. It's from a free seminar that we did at a 4-day event. Now, you might not know this, but we actually do full 4-day events where we'll improvise incredible content, where you come and you network with other like-minded people, and you'll get a ton of energy. It's electric. A full 4 days. And we started doing this year. We did one in Los Angeles. We did another one in New York. We have one coming up September 12th to 15th in San Francisco this week. Later in the year in Chicago, LA, New York again. Julian's even doing free events like this all over Europe. Where are you doing it in Europe coming up?
I'm going to Zurich, Vienna, and Berlin.
Going to be wild, right? I'm doing another one in Charlotte, New Orleans, Nashville, Miami. It's going to be amazing, right? Why do we do these free events where we just improvise? We do it specifically because we want to work on this whole release muscle. This is our art form where we just let go, we let the energy move through us, and we see what comes out. We do this both in our public speaking, but also in our social lives. When we go out, maybe go to a bar or club and just rip the place apart, have way too much fun. We do that by letting go. So much electric energy will come out of you when you do this. I want to tap you into this power. It's going to be life-changing for you. So what we need you to do right now is to lock in and get ready to learn how to experience this release muscle. But also, guess what? Come out to a free event. We've got so many of them coming up. I'm really excited for this week's in San Francisco. Come out to one of our free events. Click the link below. Click the link to come to a free tour. You're going to love it, and you're going to see exactly how we use this type of release muscle in action, and we're going to get you doing the same thing. In the meantime, right now, to lead in this and to prime your mind to think in this way, we're going to launch into an incredible seminar that's going to change your life starting right now. So lay back and get ready to learn how to tap into your release muscle. As far as your communication, we want to get it to where it's high fidelity. And you're looking at this right now, and you're like, A, he's probably mic'd. I'm not. This is a mic that is, I mean, maybe I am and I don't know it, but if you look at this mic here, I'll cover it. Does it sound any different when I cover the mic? No. Okay, so it does at home, but not here. I'm not mic'd. I can do this. This room can be filled 500 people. I could do this. Weird, right? I've also spent a little bit of time in my life at nightclubs, just a little bit, so I can get over the volume. And my vocal technique is not perfect, by the way. You know, honestly, it's not. But there's certain things that are good about it. Where is this coming from? If I bring you up here and you try to communicate, you're going to be communicating in most likelihood, not for sure, maybe you're learning now, through what's called control muscles. Say that with me. Okay, what we want to do here is show you how to communicate through what's called release muscles. So when I'm talking to you right now, I'm not controlling anything. First of all, I'm not thinking of what I'm going to say. Can you see that? I'm not thinking what I'm going to say. Did I bring up a presentation with all these little PowerPoints? No, I didn't, okay? There's no PowerPoint. Maybe there should be. It's an improvisational talk, free talk, but there's no PowerPoint. Likewise, I don't need a mic. Why is that? What is going on? I'm in release. Now let me say this. Here's the best way I would introduce this topic to you. The first thing is this. How creative do you get when you have a dream? Think about this for a minute. How creative are you when you dream? How creative?
Very.
You just gonna sit there staring at me? How creative?
Very.
How creative?
Very.
Maybe some of you guys have a boring dream, you know, like a really crap boring. I do on occasion. I've noticed in my dreams, some of my dreams, honestly, you take the most creative movie. I don't know, what's the most creative movie? Maybe Avatar? What is it? What do you think? Avatar? Interstellar's crazy. What's that? John Wick. I haven't seen that. Okay, I saw number 2 of that. That was so violent, bro. I left there. I was like, oh, I feel like I'm like one of the victims. But I heard but I like the creativity that he has in it, right? All those scenes. There's a true creativity with the fighting scenes. I heard number 3 is even crazier. Okay, what are the most creative movies? Doctor Strange. I haven't seen. What's that? Huh?
Holy Mountain.
I've never seen Holy Mountain. Is it good? Am I missing out? Okay, so, yep, last one. Night in the Museum. Yes. Okay, so if you guys want to even go past Night at the Museum. So now, even something like Avatar, I have had a lot of my dreams, and I'm saying this because I know you've had the same thing. I know you have. Where you'll have a dream so creative, so out of control, and your mind just does it for you. It handles the dream for you. That is a trance state. And it is a trance state of release. Say with me, trance state of release. Okay? So trance state of release. Now, what is the other great trance state of release that men, women, or anyone in between or wherever, got to throw that in these days, okay? Yeah. The theys and the these and the, okay? That anybody, any human or even non-human or non-human, okay, whatever it is, what is the ultimate state of release that they would feel? What is it? Right? Now, let me ask you a question. For the guys in here, have you ever had someone who you're intimate with and you coach them on how to experience a release? Have you ever coached somebody through that process? Because some people, they can be very judged. They're very judged and they don't know how to release. You ever coach someone through that? It's a very beautiful experience. Very beautiful, truly beautiful experience. Okay, like you can do some beautiful things. It is. And I'll tell you why it's so beautiful. You want to know why? Because it prevents breakups. It stops from fighting. When your partner feels so happy and satisfied, it really does reduce fighting. Okay, and when you really know how to do it, you'll see laughter and tears and intense release. It's so powerful. It's so amazing. Well, the main way that you're going to coach them through that on how to release is not to be trying to control it. That's what we do as human beings. We try to control everything. It's an urgent need to control. And that same need to control makes it where we can't climax. The very first time that I ever was with somebody, I was 19, I remember it was almost impossible for me to finish. I thought I was gonna finish in like 10 seconds. You know the movie American Pie? When he's in Nadia? You remember that? Was it Nadia? Yeah. I thought I was gonna be like that. 4 hours later, I'm like, I've got to finish on my first time. This is crazy. I mean, I was dead after. You ever see the mice where like after they reproduce, they die from exhaustion? I literally thought I was gonna die from exhaustion because I was not gonna end my first time without finishing. So what was it that made it where, you know, sitting at home by myself, all day, every day, no problem, especially as a teenager with zits, no problem at all. But why is it that when I was with somebody, which is a lot more exciting, I couldn't finish? And why a lot of people who you might date may struggle to finish themselves? Why do you think that is? It's the need to control. They can't let go. It's the same problem with dance. In dance, the greatest dance comes in letting go. So what it means is that the energy is moving through you. If you'd like to get to a point where you can climax easily, or help someone to, you've got to coach them to go. I mean, I don't want to get too crazy. I don't want everybody to get too aroused, but like you've got to get into a trance, and you've got to allow your mind to sync with the sounds, with the feelings, the motion, touching, and you've got to allow yourself to sync. Now, it's in, out, or up, down, whatever it is, and that creates a trance state of release. And what will happen is it's the in and the out. What happens is they call that fractionation. It's like you feel it more, pull back, feel it more, pull back, and then the trance amplifies. So when I'm doing public speaking, what I want to do is I want to go into a light level trance where what I'm doing is I'm releasing. I already know the information. How do I know? Because if I dream, that information's all there. I'll have dreams of like the most, you know, I'm like looking at some Norwegian fjord with castles everywhere and like the crazy things you ever seen. I'll wake up, I'm like, man, I wish I could draw this, but I can't. I've had crazy plot lines. I've had people that were like, messing up my life, like look at me in the eye and be like, I'm going to ruin your life, right? I'm like, why? They're like, I'm like, I do. And then I wake up and I know the truth. I've had all sorts. Have you guys ever had that? I've had that. So the idea here being is that your dream state, your unconscious, is a lot more powerful than you think. When you're watching Juliet and myself up here, we are operating at a level that you may not be familiar with, but you have. It is a potential that you have. You have the ability to be an incredible salesperson. You have the ability to be incredible at dating. You have the ability to go into, a nightclub environment, talk to everybody there, never run out of things to say, always have jokes on the tip of the tongue, stories, ways of relating, social calibration, awareness of what the other person's feeling. You've got to understand, I can see all of you. Like, I can look in your eyes right now, and I know what you're feeling because I'm not in here. So whatever amount of mental processing power I would have, mental bandwidth, I don't need to burn that trying to talk and think what I'm going to say next. I can look at you, and all that bandwidth is freed up. What that means that in social interactions, you have what's called calibration. Say that word. Calibration. What that means, you can feel a lot better what somebody else is experiencing. High status people often have that. You want to know why? Because when you're confident in your status, you don't micromanage as much. So for someone who you're dating, they would probably prefer that you have access to this because you're not as likely to make them uncomfortable, is a really big factor, okay? So what we're seeing here, as far as energy work and letting go, is that same exercise of letting go that also feeds into public speaking, sales, that ability to make someone laugh. And look how painful this is, because a guy will come to us for social skills advice and they'll say, what do I say to be funny? And in our minds, we're like, just think the feeling of funny, look at them in the eye and they'll start laughing. And I mean, this can go a lot further than just funny, okay? Catch what I'm saying? No? Yes? I'll leave that to you. So this goes a lot further than that. And what it is that people, they love genuineness. They love genuine energy that isn't being filtered. They want you to be yourself. You remember the great advice we get in dating. What is it? What is it? What is it? How can the be yourself be the worst advice ever? To the point it's almost like an evil conspiracy. I mean, it's not, it's good advice. Taken the right way, best advice ever. Taken the wrong way that 80, 90% of people do, worst advice ever. Why is it the worst advice? Take a guess. Oh, I'm a little nerd dork. I shouldn't change myself. I shouldn't improve. I don't need to change anything. Someone's going to love me for me, the dork. Don't change, don't change. Right? Say I'm a corporate overlord. Just be yourself. Don't worry, it'll get handled. Just keep buying my little corporate processed food, go to my little job that I give you, and you can be a battery in the matrix and I can get rich. Don't tell them to change. Didn't you hear the news? Be yourself. Don't talk to anybody, just be yourself. Because they want you to be a battery. That is their agenda. It's demented in my view. However, what is the way in which being yourself is a very powerful thing? It's in letting go. That's where you're actually at your best self. Because you're not muting yourself. You're not dumbing yourself down. For most of you in this room, I look you in the eye, you're just dumbing yourself down, man. That's all it is. You're just dumbing yourself down. Now, the idea of releasing, as Julian teaches, that's the idea of making a habit that when there's dense energy in you, it comes up and it goes out. What we do instead is we try to control it and stuff it or medicate it, which is just really bad. And guess what? Why is it that we do this? Why is it that most people in society do this? What's going on? If what I'm saying, maybe it resonates with you, maybe it doesn't. And by the way, if it doesn't, I love that because it means you're thinking. I think you're wrong, but I love that you're I love that you're thinking. So, I have my view too. So, bottom line is this, if what I'm saying makes sense and there's huge potentials that you're not tapping into, why is society like that? Because first of all, the average person who's addicted to their control muscle will watch me and Julian doing speaking and they'll say, no, that came from practice. That came from years of doing it over and over. They got a technique. Look at the technique. No. Do you want to know what this was? Unlearning. Do you really think I learned this? Or do you think I unlearned this? What do you think? Unlearn. Okay, who here's ever been out with me to the club and kind of see me do my thing? Anybody here? Okay, so when you guys see me do my thing, do you think that I learned that or unlearned it? What's your guess? I unlearned it, okay? Just going around and joking with people and flirting, we can all do that. You gotta unlearn what's stopping you from doing that. You've all done it at times. I remember I was 17 years old at my friend's party, and I met this girl named Natalie. It was so funny. I've told this story a few times. And for the first time in my life, I started dancing. I didn't know how to dance before. I started dancing. I took her over to the bed. Now, I was 17, nothing happened, but the bottom line is I thought it was cool. I took her to the bed and we chatted for like an hour. And normally I could never talk. I was so shy, I could never talk. And I was commanding and I was fun and she was all about it. And at the end, I got her number. And I know you guys think that's lame, but the point is I got her number, right? I'd never done that. Later I chatted her on the phone. I was all nervous. She didn't want to see me again. Then 2 years later was my, story that I told you about the 4 hours. Okay, so you get the idea. So what's going on here is that you want to unlearn a lot of what you've been taught. Now, why have you been put in this mode? Simple. It's called corporate greed. You've always known it. You've always known why the movie The Matrix is popular, because it's called corporate greed. It's also called demented demonic energy. And guess who runs the corporations? The same demented demonic energy. It's the same thing, and they're doing it in scale. Now, that's just an opinion. I can't prove all that. I don't think every corporation's bad. I'm not joining some anti-corporate group. I just like to have fun. I'm not about that life. And I actually think corporations do awesome stuff. We're at a hotel right now. I think this hotel is awesome. I love this hotel. Don't get me wrong, okay? Love corporations. But I also know that our society energetically, do you really believe that the state of mind that most of us are in is how human beings got from the southern tip of Africa all the way up the coast, into Europe, into Asia, into Australia, into North America, crossing the Bering Strait? You really think it was this kind of crew? No, okay? So clearly we do have certain potentials that we're unaware of. Many of these people that came around before modern society, they were in a trance. They were connected to the gods, even if there was no gods, but they felt that and it empowered them. There was things that they could see. Like myself, with keeping my immune system up. I know when I'm about to get sick. I can feel it. I can stop. I can rest. There's things I'm attuned to. I know what thing to say next. I can feel it. I can look at you. There's energies I can sense. I'm attuned to things energetically. When something bad is happening, I often feel a spidey sense. I can feel what's up. And you're thinking, what's he saying right now? Is that really true? Oh my God, more crazy claim. Dude, don't take my word for it. Why don't you go frickin' see it? Rather than me making a wild claim, why don't you see it? See it for yourself. In no way, shape, or form, if someone says something obnoxious and egregious, like, hey, it's spidey sense, should you believe that? If you believe that, you are dumb. But what I would say is, at very least, be like, wait a minute, so this little short, balding ginger guy with a pot belly and man boobs is able to do all these things I've seen on video. There's been thousands of reports of him crushing it. He's doing something. He's able to do improvisational speaking like this. He has the largest organic following, because I can't do paid traffic because of my subject matter. So what's going on? Why is he doing this? I guess it was the step-by-step book. I got Public Speaking for Dummies and did that, okay? Where does all this content come from? Do you guys see the level of creative output? So understand, where's this coming from? I want you to do this. This is not about me doing this. It's about you doing it. And I wouldn't be saying this to you because I believe it was condescending and offensive if I didn't wholeheartedly believe that you could do this. I know you can do this. I don't care if you're some guy in a wheelchair who just looks like he got his face kicked in. You can tap into this. My friend Sean Stevenson, little dude. You ever seen Sean Stevenson? This guy's amazing. Look him up. This guy has energy control like you wouldn't even believe. So I don't care who you are. I don't want to hear your stupid excuse. I don't care about it. I don't like it. To me, that's just more of that dementedness that runs people. What I want to do is show you what your release muscles are, because you don't even know you have them. And the reason why society doesn't like it when you know what this is, here's why. Because they want the negative energy to fester. They want the negative energy to fester. Why do you think it is that in our culture nowadays, comedy's under attack? Why did that dark energy go after comedy to where we can barely say anything without walking on eggshells? Why did they go after comedy? Because when we tease each other and we joke about each other, what some people call offensive, what is joking about each other? If I say I'm a balding ginger, is that meant to offend me? What does it do when I joke about me being a balding ginger? It takes something, look at my hair, it's falling out. Do you know how traumatizing this could be? Having the courage to walk up to attractive people and go talk to them. Do you know how hard that'd be, balding? I'm kind of fat right now. Do you know how hard that would be? And if I'm afraid of being offended, what's gonna happen is I can't walk up and talk or attract anybody, period. So they wanna make it where they're gonna hide someone. Like if Julian jokes with me and teases me, that's gonna help me. because it puts me in a release frame. What is the purpose of comedy and teasing each other? Maybe even offending each other a little bit? What's the purpose of it? Is it to hurt each other's feelings? No, that's called release. It's called you make it a big joke. Look, my firstborn son, Vincent's autistic. Some of you guys know that, right? If you guys are like, that kid, you're retarded. Oh my God. Oh, I said the word retard. Oh my God. Are you offended? Your little kid, Vincent's autistic. Is that helping me? No, it's not. You got to make it fun. Have you guys met my kid, Vincent? He's way too fun. Now, I know it sucks the energy out of the room when I talk about this. You're like, oh, what if that happened to me? You want to know what? If it happened to you, you'd be fine. If you're not somebody who's walking on eggshells and worry about being offended. So that same thing that you're worried about, that you're worried that offensive talk, that same thing, that joke. Now, if it's just meant to be nasty, that person's just a loser and an idiot. Somebody who's just trying to offend people for no reason is a loser and an idiot. But when somebody jokes with you, they're trying to break down your inner resistance. When me and Julian hang out, we're not on eggshells in front of each other. We tease each other. We joke around. That creates camaraderie. That creates bonding. What is the best form of flirting? Teasing, joking, making it not so uptight, making it not so serious. That is your release muscle. Teasing, again, there's so much misinterpretation around teasing and flirting. Why would you tease? I'm teasing because I assume the other person is cool. I'm assuming that they're high self-esteem. I'm assuming that they are fine and complete people with agency. And I'm teasing them in order to lighten the vibe so that we can all go be dorks together. You want to know the ultimate thing with meeting people or creating attraction? It's not actually being higher value like you think. Do you want to know what it really is? It's about being all dorks together. That's honestly what it is. Yeah, when you can all be dorks, I'm telling you. Yeah, thanks. Seriously, that's all it is, okay? If I come up here and I do a speech and I'm trying to be Mr. Higher Value, even though I've talked a lot of braggadocious stuff, but I'm trying to give examples, you see the idea? Honestly, if I come up here and I'm like, I'm a dork, you're a dork, we're all dorks. We all, go to the bathroom and sweat and all this stuff. Like, look at my head. Oh, I think I'm so cool, I'm sweating, I'm bald, I'm kind of fat. Like, I've got to know I'm a dork. Honestly, you're a dork. Like, we're all gonna die someday, guys. Seriously, and the only way that we can avoid death is like doing this silly thing and going, oh, and then like a kid pops out, and then this like little baby's like, ah, and all that stuff. That's like how the human race continues, as far as I know. So, I'm still hoping to try that one day, but you see the idea. So basically, we can all be dorks together. That's called release. But you see, there's so many people, by the way, there's a negative undercurrent of people who think, honestly, you could never become more attractive. And those people are in control muscle. They're like, well, you don't have this jawline, you don't have this nose, you don't have this, because they're literally, society brainwashed them so deep, they're in so much control that what happened is that led in negative energy. What is one of the major ways that dark energy gets in you? A feeling of lack of control. Feeling of lack of control, feeling of lack of approval, feeling of lack of safety, feeling of not knowing what's gonna happen, so you dwell on it too much. Self-attack, attachment. So that lack of feeling of control lets in crazy negative energy in the person, and they crave control more and more, makes them very negative. What we do instead is we release. That's what Julian, and he's gonna talk about this in a sec, that's what Julian teaches, release work. And what that does is it gets the energy moving up and gets it to where you're releasing. Because look, if I go, like I'm not even gonna do it because I would wreck my voice for the seminar for a couple days. But the way that most of you guys would use your voice, it's from the head and it's from control, instead of being from the body and from release, okay? If I even do it, I will throw my voice and I wouldn't even be able to teach Saturday. It's like, I'm honestly too scared to do it how you guys do it. I'm literally afraid to do it how you guys are doing it, okay? It's like, I'll try to get some examples of it, but okay. So just stand up here. Okay, I'm gonna go, okay, you do that? Okay, so he's scared. Now, okay, come here. Okay, do it as loud as you can. Loud as you can. Loud as you can. He's getting the idea. That's actually pretty good. Have a seat. Okay, so, you come up here for a sec. Okay, just go as loud as you can. Okay, he's actually pretty good. So you know what we're doing? Have a seat. Let me say this. You guys have seen a lot of videos like this, right? A lot of time guys come up, they're actually not in release. I think what's happening here is we're moving energy together right now. Do you guys feel a little bit more loose as I talk about all being dorks? Yeah. You know what's funny? That frame alone, that we're all gonna be dorks together, that frame alone makes you be like, wait, I don't need to control everything, and you relax. charisma starts coming out. Because that's the first time I've seen in like a couple years that two guys in a row came and could access the release muscles. Can you guys give them a hand for that?
Yeah. So let's bring it back to the be yourself advice, because I do want to build on that, okay? You hear be yourself, and like you said, could be the best advice or the worst advice. Now, it is in fact the best, but where we mess up is that we assume that we know who we are, right? That concept that is you. It's like, well, I'm the little shy introverted person. That's me. I'm the low energy person. That's me. Is it? And that's where we mess up.
Is it?
No.
You see?
Is it? No. Is it?
You hear advice like fake it till you make it, right? I'm shy, so act confident until you make it. But that's not the case. It's act real until you remember. And this is what's so key when it comes to letting go. You hear, for example, in terms of flirting, of the concept of push-pull, right? This is super classic. What's a push? I hate you. What's a pull? I love you, right? Adding some polarity in an interaction. And we think, oh, that's a great technique. Push-pull. Let me work on my push. Let me work on my pull. But what you don't realize is that that naturally happens when you're just being you, right? Because you're either on the people pleaser side, in which case all you do is pull. It's the person who just agrees with everything. It's like no conflict, no polarity, just agree. If I'm the most agreeable person, I'll be the most likable person, and people will want to be with me. Tell me something. Are you from LA?
No.
No, that's great. What do you do?
Personal trainer.
Oh, I love personal trainer. That's the best. Yeah. What's your favorite movie?
My favorite movie.
Bro, speak up.
Come on.
My favorite movie is Paid in Full right now.
Oh yeah, that's my favorite movie too. I love that. Yeah.
What do you like about it?
What do you like about it?
The hustle.
Oh, The Hustle. Yeah, I like that too. The Hustle's my favorite part. Yeah. That's actually the go-to of people pleasers, by the way. The worst is they'll even repeat what you said. You might have friends like that. It's like, oh, you know The Hustle. It's like, oh, really? The Hustle? Like, that's their conversation. They just say the last thing you said and nod and agree. It's like no polarity. And that's a lot of people. Now, on the flip side, you also have people who all they can do is push, right? It's the people who just can never really compliment, can never just really be vulnerable or relax. All they do is like, ha, tease, and keep teasing. And it's like, just insecure, just slow down. It's like, tease. Now, those two people, okay, the people pleaser and like the teaser, you could say, they'll hear push-pull. And it'll actually be good because the people pleaser, for example, they might learn to playfully disagree every now and then, right? Like, what's your favorite movie you said?
Paid in Full.
So anyway, like just something like that, like, that's your favorite movie, really? Interesting. So I hate that movie. I despise that movie.
Okay, I feel it.
I piss on that movie. I shit on that movie. Visualize it. Your favorite movie, next time you watch it, me just shitting all over it, dude.
It sucks and it was made.
No.
That's just fucking.
Do you see how you're laughing? But you see, that kind of, like, in the media, they would hear about teasing like, then Julian said he pooped on their movie, right? And like, oh! Meanwhile, what are you doing? You're giggling like a little kid. We're just entertaining you. It's just called a joke. What does that say about the way people interpret others, that they're so weak that they can't take any kind of joke? I am confident that people enjoy humor. My view is that other people are cool. But the main thing is to have fun with you. It makes it silly, it makes it fun. It means that we can be dorks together. And then you can tease back a little bit. We can have fun with each other. It shows that we're friends. It shows that we're not sensitive or weird. That's what teasing is. Like, yo, I'm not weird. You're not weird. We're not those people that need to control everything. We are all the dorks together. We're all dorks together. That's what teasing is meant to be. It's not meant to be this heavy thing. Certainly never mean to cut anybody down or hurt them or manipulate them. It's meant to show we're not those uptight people stuck in control. Instead, we're all dorks together. That's the frame of it.
And that's where push-pull happens naturally too, right? If you're being yourself and you're not being a little people pleaser or an insecure little teaser who all you do is just tease, guess what? If you talk to someone, like say we have an hour conversation and I'm fully being me, you're fully being you, Are there going to be some stuff we disagree on? Yes. Are there going to be some stuff we agree on? Yes. Push-pull.
Yeah.
It just naturally happens when you're being real and when you let go of playing a certain character. When you're being everything that is you, that is being yourself. And what does that come from? Letting go of who you think you are. Letting go of that little identity. And also understand how that identity came about. You know, it's crazy if you think of social conditioning, especially understanding, say, frames, right? Say you're a kid and someone tells you you're stupid, right? A teacher might say that, or a kid in class. You're stupid. And say you believe that. You're like, oh, I'm stupid. You know how that affects your identity and your entire life and your experience of the world? It's insane. That little seed, I'm stupid, changes, you could say, the color of the lens through which you see and experience everything. It's like now everything is through, I'm stupid. Whatever happens to you, oh, it's because I'm stupid. Ah, that's not for me because I'm stupid. Oh, that person, you know, that didn't work out because I'm stupid. And the snowball effect just builds to the point where you might be sitting here believing deep down inside, I'm stupid. I can't be myself. I'm stupid. Really? From a little belief that for some reason, a younger you who's a kid who doesn't know any better decided to believe, build a snowball effect, here you are. That's not you. Who you think you are is not you. Let go of that and realize who you truly are. The you who appears in those moments where you get into a flow state, right? That's the best time to really like bring your awareness. It's like when you're in a flow, that identity fades away. And you actually are being everything that is you. And that's when people really connect. Okay, so that's the first thing. Going deeper, understand the different layers of communication. Okay, there's the words themselves. That's one layer, right? What I am saying right now. And we tend to value this the most. It's like the words are everything. This is why you hear, how do I network? How do I meet someone? How do I date? Learn the lines. It's all about the lines. But guess what? Did we exist before lines? Before words?
Yep.
Right? Is a lot of our communication perhaps pre-verbal? Yes? Are you able to communicate with someone who doesn't speak your language and get a sense of who they are and how much status they have? Yes. So why are we valuing the words? That's the last thing. And this is actually what allows me, Owen, and the clients we work with to never run out of things to say, because you stop placing so much value on the words themselves. The words are simply the vehicle for you to deliver your vibe, okay? But it doesn't stop there. So the words is one layer. That's the least important layer. Don't even worry about that, okay? Going deeper, it's how you say it, okay? So for example, I can talk like this, or I can talk like that, okay? The tonality, the punchiness, okay? That conveys a lot more about who you are. Now, there's a third layer going deeper than that, though, and that's the intention. Okay? So, for example, he said it before. If I look at you and I'm just thinking, laugh. It's like, boom, you're just laughing, okay?
Do you see how crazy that is for us, though, when guys are begging us to be told what to say? It's, you got to do the work. Yeah, and we're happy to give you a funny thing to say. 100%, we do it all the time. I love that stuff. Say, hey, are you guys best friends? You have the same facial expressions. And they go crazy. They'll start laughing. It's awesome. But there's another level to it where you're not just this one-dimensional little puppet who's like, best friends? Huh? And then you're like, now what? Julian, help.
Yeah. So that's the third layer. You know, it's the intention behind it. And I'm aware of all those layers, by the way, at all times. It's like, right now, I'm aware of the words I'm saying. I'm not paranoid over it. But I'm still aware, like, I'm speaking English right now. I'm aware of the tonality, and I'm also aware of the intention. The intention is, I'm communicating this point. Focus on me. Let this land. Let this click. If you want to make someone laugh, the intention is laugh. You will laugh. If you're talking to someone and you're like, you know what? I want them to kind of get drawn in. Guess what? My intention is, I am awesome. I am awesome. I could be talking about math right now, but you're just going to get sucked into that frame that I am awesome. That's the intention, okay? So that's the third layer. And then there's the fourth, which is, where do you reside in terms of, say, high vibration energy or low vibration energy? And that's the thing that comes before it all. And you got to master and become aware of all four of those layers. Don't just get stuck on the words, on the superficial layer that really does not matter. Okay, people connect with those deeper layers. We zone in on those deeper layers. When you meet someone new, right? Say I'm like, you know what? You have a business now, hypothetically, and you're going to hire someone to take over. Here are some resumes. Read them and pick someone. It's not enough, right? Say you talk to someone and you have an hour to interview that person. Are you just going to focus on what they say? Hey, so I studied this thing and I'm a great person and I think I can totally take over your business. Trust your business to me.
No, it's a little weird.
No, you're going to focus on the vibe, the energy, like the feel, right? Not the words. That's what we're attuned to. Remember, we come from before words. That's how we connected with each other before. Okay, I would see this all the time back in the day, teaching a lot of dating advice. I would travel around the world, and guess what? I'd be able to teach that same advice all around the world. And you'd have to go and demonstrate it, show how it's done all around the world with people who didn't speak my language.
Yeah, you got to understand how dumb this looks to us too, because you've got this is our life. You got all these people with limiting beliefs. I can't do it. I don't have the height, the money, the this, the that. Then they've got their local geographic limiting beliefs, right? And it's like, this can't work in Boston, the mean streets of Boston. You will never do this in the Irish land of Boston. And we're just like, it's just mind-numbing. You know, and they're literally, you look in their pupil, they're completely derping. They're half out of it. They're carrying tons of trauma. They're stuck in their control muscle. It's completely locked in. Their reticular activation system is blind to every opportunity that they could ever see. They're stumbling all over themselves. And then rather than being willing to admit it, they're going to blame it on the mean streets of Boston or just any other stick that they can take to beat themselves over the head. And then we're like, it's not true. And honestly, because we run seminars, they're going to be like, you're just saying that so you don't take your seminar. And we're like, well, maybe that makes some sense. But honestly, could you just come out with us and like watch what we do and we'll show it to you? And then you try to show it to them and it's like, they can't see it. But that's the great thing about success is that, hey, if you can get this down, you stand out over everybody else. Because most people are so trapped in a jail of their own making that when you crush it, you're going to go ahead of the pack.
The other thing with the city you live in, by the way, the reason you might feel more stifled or more pressure there, like everyone says it. It's like everyone from Boston is going to say, Boston's the hardest place, the mean streets of Boston. If you're from LA, you're thinking the same thing. That's not true. LA is the worst place. For me, I always thought Switzerland's the worst place. Why? Because that's where you grew up and that's where you've been conditioned. And there's a lot of anchoring there. It's just very, very heavy, and it touches on a lot of, as we're talking about here, that deep-rooted trauma that happened during your childhood. That's why when you go on vacation, it's always a lot easier to just loosen up, like you're a different person. You know, everyone, if you think about, say, dating, everyone in Europe thinks, Americans, they're all sluts. Guys and girls, all sluts. Right? Everyone in America, that's not true. You've seen those French European movies. They're sluts in Europe. Everyone thinks that of each other because it's not where you grew up. It's not where you've been conditioned. Okay? And once more, it comes down to removing that conditioning and unleashing all that is you. Okay? But I did want to touch on those 4 layers of communication. Here's another thing that happens when you let go of that trauma and the things that run you. You see the world for what it is. Okay, remember this, the internal always colors the external. Until you do this type of work, you will not see the person who's there in front of you. And if you don't see who's there in front of you, you will not be able to relate, you will not be able to calibrate. Okay, if you're someone who's in a very strong state of fear, per se, you're going to project that outwards. That's what your focus, your RAS, okay, your selective focus is going to pick up on. You're sitting here in this room, if you're in a state of fear, you're like, am I going to be singled out? Are they going to point to me? What if they ask me a question and I don't know the answer? Do I look good? Did I dress well enough for the event? Where do I stand? What are other people thinking of me? Right? You talk to someone new, where are the threats? Where are the threats? You're not seeing them for who they are. You're projecting all that on them. Right? And no wonder then you can't really relate or calibrate because you're not calibrating and connecting to who they truly are. Let go of that and start seeing the world for what it is. And that's where you really stand out. Okay, not only do they sense this person's on it on the most important layer, okay, like a higher vibration, they just sense it off of you. They also see me for who I am. They connect with me on an authentic level, and they're not controlling, they're unstifled, and just that too is so much value. Okay, I've said this for years, fun, carefree, passion. Those are the 3 things we're all after. It's like a drug. Everyone wants to have more fun. Everyone wants to be more carefree. Everyone wants that passion, that aliveness. If you're able to unlock that or unleash it, you don't create it, you simply unleash it, you will be like a magnet and people will just want to be around you. You know, I saw recently, it was like the Jim Carrey Netflix documentary thing, and he literally said that. If you watch that documentary, there's one point in it where he's like, this is where everything just took off for me, and I forget the words he used, but it was so key. He's like, I realized people just want to stop caring so much, and I just had to go first. And that's where he started making this whole persona of just not caring, being carefree, and people just got drawn to it. They're like, wow, someone who doesn't take themselves too seriously, who's not trying to control, someone who just lets loose, thank God. And they just get drawn in. So the question is, what's blocking you from letting loose? And you all have this, okay? Just think of someone who, you know, you said like you with your first little girl attempt, your date attempt.
Lovely experience.
Your encounter.
My almost mouse death.
But even someone, say you take someone who's on the street really shy, okay? You could go to a video game store, if that still exists, okay? You walk in, that's where my mind goes, like some little video game store, say it exists, you're probably gonna walk in, and I'm assuming a lot of people in there are quite shy and stifled. I'm assuming, okay? And that person who goes in, little Johnny, he buys his little video game. When he walks out of the store, he's probably even more stifled, just walking back to his place to play the game. Probably in his head, he's like, don't talk to me, just got my game, just get me home alive, just get me home alive. Can't speak up. If someone asks him for the time, it's like, Johnny, what's the time? Game back home, like trying to get back home. Now that little Johnny, who can't speak up, who's shitting himself, walking down the street of the game, when he gets home, and he puts on that game, and he puts on his gaming headset, Johnny transforms into the most charismatic, loudmouth guy you know. Johnny goes on a rant, right? You hear this, like those video game chats are insane. They're just vibing back and forth, they're unleashing. However, Johnny can only do it on the video game. So it's there's nothing missing. That is part of Johnny getting out of his own way and releasing. Not trying to control a persona, just letting it go. And if he learned how to do that in all instances, that's how you get there. It's not Johnny like learning the little line. It's like, okay, well, what's the line? Are you guys best friends? Same facial expressions. It's not gonna work.
That is a great line though.
You know? And you also got to trust your gut instinct here too. You know, it's like, there's probably a part of you that thinks like, it can't be that simple. It can't just be a line. Yeah, it can't. If you believe that, how gullible are you? How gullible are you to think that a couple lines are going to change your life? How gullible are you to think that you can avoid doing this type of work?
You want to hear the funny part too? We'll encourage people to do this kind of work to get their social skills and dating life down, and people will say, oh, they're pandering to the masses who just like positive platitudes. Do you know how dumb this looks to us when we go out with nothing prepared at all, running laps around the environment, crushing it, and they'll think, no, the real way to do it is with a stack of lines. But they're just saying to be positive. And I will read this. And you know what I take from that? Honestly, people are just demented. That's what I get from it. People are demented. They're so trapped in their negative frame that they believe that everything has to be controlled, that they can't release. And the same people that do that, in my opinion, honestly, I bet you they don't even enjoy physical intimacy. They're like, I got it. What's the next one? Got it. What's the next one?
Well, not just
got it. What's the next one? Because they can't enjoy that one.
Well, not just that, like even during, they won't enjoy it. It's like you're with someone and say you get intimate, what's going on instead of actually being present, right? Occupying your entire body, truly connecting to your partner, they're in their head. And the whole time they're analyzing. They're like, okay, I'm here. Am I doing it right? Am I doing it good enough? What are they thinking of me? Is it what I thought it was? Am I still cool? Am I still trying to control? Let me control this move and stuff. It's like, it takes you completely out of it. It becomes this very competitive. It gets you in this paranoid state of mind. And no wonder it's a huge problem for a lot of guys to just not be able to get it up. It's so common. And it's more common with the people you really like. Like that partner, you're like, oh, I wish I could be with that person. That's the person you're going to not be able to get it up with. It's insane, right? And then it's like, oh, well, let me look, instead of the lines there, it's like, let me look for the pills and stuff to help. It's like, no, you got to do this work.
We did bring some pills, though.
You know, unless you want the pills at the back.
As a training wheels.
No, but you really got to examine, too. It's like that autopilot thinking. You know, there's a friend who's a great marketer. He told me years ago, he's like, you know what, I really respect what you guys are doing, because the best way to market is this. The best way to market is realize that every single person just wants to stay in their little bubble, and they really don't want to change. They don't want to change at all. A program or a product saying, hey, you're going to have to do some work and really change is actually not appealing. You know, if you heard me talk about Transformation Mastery Live, I'm like, you're going to go out, we're going to do the work. That's the worst thing I could possibly say to sell something. What people want to hear is, hey, you don't have to change at all, right? You can stay in your little bubble. You don't even have to do anything. Here's a little line, or here's a little trick, and it'll do it for you. It'll do it for you, but it actually won't even change you. So you can just stay the same and feel a little better about your pathetic situation.
It's like how people think that whoever's elected president is going to dramatically change the country and the economy. No, you know how you change the economy? Yourself. How can the president change the economy? I probably just pissed off half the room, but you know my point. And likewise, if you want to know why this is happening, it's actually pretty straightforward. The idea of America is that instead of having a king or a queen, every single person is a miniature king or queen. That's the whole basis and foundation of America, okay? When they went against Britain to get rid of the king, they said we're going to have a democratic election. That's the whole idea of America, is that it's freedom, right? So the advantage of that is that you don't have a situation with a monarch, because by the way, a great monarch can actually be good, but usually a monarch does not have the evolutionary pressure to be really good, and they can actually be horrible. So that's why you don't want to have the monarchy system. You want to have freedom, okay? But what happens is, the downside is that what happens to a monarch, a king or queen, what kind of people are around them? Is it people giving them a lot of critical feedback in most cases? What happens if you give the monarch critical feedback in most cases? What do? They chop your head off. But so how do you get near the monarch? You give them nothing but good feedback about how great they are in most cases. Well, when you have a world of little kings and queens, what marketers do is they say, just stay how you are. You could be just like this, but we'll fix it with this one little product. So you're not asking them to change. So what we live in effect, is a free society, to what that's debatable, but in general compared to back in the day. But at the same time, what we live in is what's called a yes man society. Say this with me. Yes man society. So you're told you can stay the same. You don't need, you're perfect how you are, and we will just handle it from here. And any business that doesn't tell you that is probably not going to be very successful. A lot of our job in our teaching is that part of why we release what's called long form content, you guys ever notice we release very long form content, is we've got to prime you to even get ready to win, or to even change your thinking towards your own success. We've got to get you ready so that by the time that we meet you, maybe we offer you something, you're like, wait a minute, I could do a program where I work hard and I have to break through my fears and change and transform, as opposed to telling you that you could say the exact same and just say some little line and it would be all good. And this is why, if we were to teach social skills or dating, if we go on, say a late night talk show, what's the first question they're going to ask? Oh, what's the line? What's the line? Or they'll say, what's your success rate? And it's like, maybe it's not even about your success rate as much as it is about being okay that you're going to connect with the people you're meant to connect with. Really, the question should be, are you connecting with the people that you're meant to connect with? Not, are you tricking a bunch of people that you're not meant to connect with you? That's disgusting. That's creepy. But they come from that mode of like avoiding pain, avoiding rejection, magic pill. And it really gets scary to think that that is the level of consciousness and paradigm of thinking of most of mainstream society. They are literally batteries in the matrix conforming to a corporate agenda. It is really scary, and their potential is really switched off. They don't even know who they are. They don't know what they're doing here. They don't understand the larger picture of life. And they'll go to their grave without ever having actually woken up. Pretty crazy to think about. No different than cattle just being led to the slaughter. It's really intense. And the question is, do you want to be that cattle, or do you want to wake up? And that's why we push you to wake up, by the way. That's when we're up here pushing you so hard. That's why we want to push you. It's not, I'm not going to say life or death like you would physically die, but it's a point of spiritual life or death that we push you to want to awaken, and for you to take a part of your responsibility in that. Because like they'll tell you, a lot of time they'll teach you in climaxing, in intimacy, as they say, you have to take responsibility for your own climax, right? You've got to own it. If you can't wait for someone to do it for you. Well, in the same way, you have to take responsibility for your own awakening. You have to take responsibility to ingest the right media and ideas into your psyche.
Yeah, and it's our responsibility too, and that's why we're pushing you so hard. It's like, imagine again, like the whole cattle to the slaughter. We're like the 2 cows that just ran off, and we're like, there's a slaughter, let them know. And everyone's like, nah, we're fine. It's like, get off. And it's like, that's your responsibility. If you saw the fucking slaughter, you're gonna do whatever it takes to get the cows, to get the cattle off that ramp. Whatever it takes, right? Click the link, whatever it takes. Okay, another way of viewing this, by the way, okay, in terms of where, people focus and audit yourself here is through the paradigms, and I've talked about this before, of having, doing, or being, right? If you go on the late night show and it's like, oh, so socializing, dating, why is it that they ask, so what's the line, right? Why is it that everyone's focused on the line? Because it's about having, right? People focus on that. It's like, how much money do I have? That's how cool I am. How good looking? Having. Oh, do I have the best arsenal of words? Right? They determine their value, their worth on what they have. And they think that the more they have, the more valuable they become. This is why 99% of people, all about looks and money. Right? Now, as you move up, you kind of let go of that. And most likely a lot of you are in that middle ground where you've let go, you realize, you know what, it's not about looks or money, right? And then you move into the doing paradigm. And you might be in this phase where if you're talking to someone, as soon as you stop talking, you feel your value drop. You're like, oh, they're going to walk away if I stop talking, because you're hooked on the doing. You think that the more you do, the more you execute, or even in business, the more you hustle, that's your worth. And then as you move up, it goes to being, where it's just the vibe you put off, the feel you put off, just who you are that makes you, again, whatever you call it, attractive, high value, successful, so on and so forth. Okay, having, doing, being. Most people are stuck in having. That's not what works. Okay, doing is a little better, but you got to move to the being. And that's why we keep pushing on this. Like, this is how you change it from there. And this is what gets you the results. Don't be so gullible. Okay, if people even tell your friends, like, what do you mean? Like, you're studying social skills, trying to learn some lines? That doesn't work. They're right. It's not enough. They're actually right. How gullible are you? You got to take the hit and realize, like, man, if I believe that, I'm kind of dumb, right? And
even guys like Joe Rogan, they'll ask him what they think of this type of content, and he's like, oh, that's nonsense. I don't want to quote him, but he's like, kind of just like dismisses it. I'm like, good for you, because the way that it's been presented to Joe, he's right to dismiss it.
Yeah. And
it's never been presented to him in a way showing the ins and outs of it.
Yeah. And again, it's also nuanced, where it's not black and white. It's not like, oh, never use it. Like, it could be good training wheels. Push-pull could be a good training wheel to, for example, trigger a people pleaser into re-owning different parts of themselves, right? So it's not black and white, but it's not the destination. We think it is. We simplify it, like, that's the destination. And then we fall for it and people play on it, right? You'll see videos like, steal my lines. And everyone's like, the magical lines to steal. How gullible are you? Okay? You cannot avoid doing this work. And the sooner it hits, the sooner you realize it, the sooner you'll get results and the sooner you'll enjoy those results. Okay? And once more, it's changing that approach to, instead of me trying to build something, control something, build this image, build this ego, maintain this ego, validate the ego, then hooked on approval. It's like, must keep validating the ego. And then there's the fear of them seeing through the ego and seeing who I truly am. And now I feel like an imposter. Instead of that, it's letting go of the ego, letting go of control, and letting that true you shine out. Let the you that, like little Johnny playing a video game, just riffs and is charismatic and engaged, let that version of you shine out all the time. and let go of all the blockage, whether it's past trauma, addiction to what people think, the fear of rejection, so on and so forth. Let go of that, let it shine, and you'll realize it's not that hard. Don't make it so hard. It's like, you know, when we break it down this way, it seems very difficult. It's not. You let go of all that stuff, and it just happens by default. It's effortless. Like a seminar like this, effortless.
Yeah, I hope that you guys are realizing what you're actually seeing as far as improvisational speaking right now, as far as the vocal use, as far as improvising, as far as improvised humor, as far as engaging the audience and where they're at and giving them what they need, and so on and so forth. And I hope that you're seeing that, because don't be passive to this experience, right? Don't be passive to it. Really say to yourself, wait, what are they doing up here? Why are they able to do it at that level? What's going on there, okay?
Let me also add just this. Yeah, because you realize we just freestyled this whole thing, by the way. Like, I didn't plan it with Owen where it's like, so then you're gonna say this thing, and then I'm gonna jump in and I'm gonna talk about the having, doing, being, okay? And then I want you to bring it back to how we're improvising it, make sure everyone notices, okay? And then I'm gonna say this, I'm gonna build on it. So we got the game plan. Let me also rehearse this seminar at home a few times. I got my PowerPoint, I've rehearsed it, you know, in front of the mirror a couple times. That's how I'm able to just let it flow here. No, that's not how it works. Right? And it's the same with people trying to learn public speaking, right? You might go to a class. It's like, so talk like this, eliminate ums and ahs. Little do they realize that sucks the soul out of it.
Yeah.
I'd rather have an and ah. Like I could add an every 5 seconds, like I'm doing right here. And it's still more captivating than the person who's like, so, what I want to talk about today is this. No. Okay, so again, techniques do help. Okay, it's not no techniques at all, but this is the foundation. I would much rather have this, like this type of speech would win at all times over someone who learned all the public speaking skills. The same with even marketing, right? We talked about this before. You could learn the perfect marketing script and deliver it with a lesser, you could say, vibe behind it. And we could have a worse marketing script, but with a better vibe. Who do you think sells more?
Yeah, we're the anomalies in the, there's a sub-world called the internet marketing world. There's people like Dan Kennedy, Frank Kern, Ryan Deiss. They're amazing. But we're like an anomaly to them. People from that world, they'll come into our events and they're freaked out that we're not having to pull out every little thing in the book, that we could just give a lot of energy and then just talk about our event, just give some facts about it, say when it is, and that half the people in the room will wind up coming. It shocks them. They are shocked by the types of launches and products that we do or things like that. Why don't we have every little thing down? And the reason why is because if somebody's trying to get better at dating, as an example, they can memorize every little tactic, but the idea behind that is that you stay the same energetically. You don't release your trauma. You don't work on what's inside of you. And then you need a million things in the arsenal in order to even hold attention. So if somebody's not very charismatic, because they're contained, they're energetically contained, they're gonna need a lot of firepower to hold somebody's attention there. And the sad thing is, it's so sad, is that then when they run out of things to say that they memorized, the person leaves and they say, every time I run out of those things to say, I try to go natural the way that they're talking about, and the person leaves, it doesn't work. We get it, it's an entirely different paradigm. A new paradigm is like a chick hatching from an egg, and the entire world is different. There's new sets of rules to some extent. Paradigms is like the Russian dolls, and there's, you know, each layer of a Russian doll. You say this after me, integrate, say that, integrate. And transcend. So it's basically integrate and transcend. It's like Russian dolls. We keep those same lessons that we got back in the day. They're still in there, but there's entirely new paradigms. And that was why to teach what we're able to do now in dating or social skills, it was so crucial that we incorporate things like personal growth, self-help, release work. And some guys would say, oh, if you're gonna do self-help now, are you dumbing it down? You've gotta understand, just straight dating tactic is dumbing it down. That is dumbing it down. That is pandering to the masses. This is us showing you why we're able to do what we do and giving you the exact pathway to get there. We don't want to be stuck in dumbing it down. That's why we had to expand. And in every single thing that we do in, say, release work, energetic work, my self-help stuff, or the stuff that we both do, because we guest star at each other's programs, that all those old lessons are still in there. They're all still there. All the best parts of it is still there. We might not be as explicit, but you know what we mean. You're not dumb. You know. It's all still in there, but we're broadening it to incorporate that elite level skill set, that skill set that is legendary. We want to show you how to become a living legend, not just this kind of little guy.
And also bring your awareness to what you resonate with in terms of just watching us or being here with us. Like, why are you even here? I'm sure, of course, it's the content, but there's something beyond that where it's like when you could say we go first like this in terms of just releasing and just letting it flow, it connects with something beyond just your little mind. It connects with, as cheesy as it sounds, the soul. Like there's a part of you that's like, that fun, carefree passion, that rawness, not the superficial fakeness. You know, you see that every day. Everyone's fake, everyone puts on a front, left and right. It's so rare to see a spark of authenticity. It's so rare to even see someone passionate about something. Like how many of your friends are really into something, excited about something? Like you see that fucking spark light up. Very few, right? To the point where even here, we could be talking about something that, like a topic that doesn't even help you. I could be talking about how to make a frying pan in extreme detail for 3 hours. But if I'm passionate about that, which I'm not, but say I live for that. Like my grandfather, my grandmother, my parents, we come from a generation of frying pans, and we've been perfecting it. And here's what you have to understand. Like, when I talk about this, I light the fuck up. This is what I dream about, frying pans. And there's this one way to make a pan where instead of using this one metal fabric on the side, okay, and this is so key, on the side, you gotta add this other metal fabric that's a little different.
Do you guys know the difference between a Teflon pan and a stainless steel pan? No, Teflon, it's actually a weird chemical. It can poison you, they say. Crazy, right? That we actually, for the sake of convenience, I don't know if this is true or not, this is my understanding, for the sake of convenience, we spray it with this anti-stick thing. You know what's funny? We always want the unnatural solution for convenience, and it always winds up in some weird cancer. That is a metaphor for life. The frying pan made of Teflon is a metaphor for your life. And what you gotta do is you gotta switch to that stainless steel pan. And you gotta get some olive oil in there, or maybe not even olive oil, it could be avocado oil. There's a lot of different oils. Coconut oil, yeah. And you can sniff that coconut oil or avocado oil or macadamia
Don't do the
oil.
Virgin, extra virgin coconut oil. You gotta do the real thing if you're gonna cook with it, you know? Now notice that, by the way. Past couple minutes, talking about frying pans and oil.
I'm not even done.
Right? And we could literally riff for an hour. And guess what? Because, again, it speaks to that soul. Like, there might be that little voice in the very background, like, that could be you. There is this in you. Let me out. Like, it's probably yelling, let me out.
I did over an hour in Seattle at an event on Birkenstocks. I said, give me a word. They said Birkenstock sandals. I did over an hour. I crushed it so hard. Yeah, that was a very captivating speech. You want to know what makes it so captivating? Because I'm not focused on the content. I'm not allowed to focus on the content, so I have to make it captivating. It's probably more captivating than an improvisational speech. Now, keep in mind that when we do a paid event, right? These are riffing events. When we do a paid event, we will do this level of communication, but with a specific curriculum, because we have a specific point that we want to get to. So that's very powerful in a paid event. But when you're meeting somebody, it's not a paid event. I know in your mind you're like, it is the paid event. When I do my meeting someone, my dating is a paid event. It's serious, right? Like when we're doing something where we are teaching a paid event, we will really iterate that curriculum and it stays on track, it is timely.
Every minute
each
is
point.
calculated.
Yeah. But that said, meeting somebody is not a paid event. They didn't pay you good money to meet you. It's more about the vibe. Frankly, that's why even an event like this, we would just riff, right? That's the main idea of it, right? There's an energy that's there. People think that they're selling themselves. Sometimes people will say, when you're meeting someone and dating, that's like selling. I'm like, It's like selling, but it's different. It's more energy based. I mean, if you were to talk to someone who, you're going up to and you're like, do you want me to sell you on all my features and benefits? I have this, I've got a degree, I've got that. That's like the exact thing that, if anything, would make them not like you. In fact, a demonstration of higher value, I almost like better a demonstration of lower value. You remember what I said? We're all dorks. We're all dorks together. That funny thing, if you're like, oh yeah, it's like this. Like, that's so much worse if you're doing it with seriousness than if you're like, it's a little wet carrot. And it goes, and they're like, stop, right? And they get all excited by it, right? It's that joking around that makes it so powerful. If you got a pot belly, you're like, I'm pregnant. Would you like to see it kick? They're like, what? I'm like, if you'd like to, I invite you to feel the kick. And they're like, okay. And then their hand goes there and you go, like that. And they go, and they start laughing. And you go, I'm lactating right now. Would you like to, may I invite you to feel the lactating? They're like, oh my God, right? And then they're like, I'm like, oh, milk, right? And they're on the floor laughing. Next thing you know, you're running off for some wild kinky adventure together because we're all dorks. We're just a bunch of big dorks. We can let go. The problem is when you try to be so smooth and suave, what happens is that you generate that energy back, and then they don't want to go have wild, kinky fun with you because they're trying to be super smooth and suave instead of you just being dorky and fun.
Yeah.
You're not putting up a wall, right? This cool high value guy thing, we'll say high value and it does make sense, but it's actually presenting a wall of them getting to know you better. When we come in here and speak to you, we want to be fun and we want to share, but if we come in too uptight, that uptight energy, it's not a good vibe. This seminar could have got so intense, like, you've got to step up and show your worth and this, and here's how you do, right? And you guys would be like, and you leave here with your head spinning, rather than fired up to go out and just share.
Yeah. And the other big one too, by the way, with this type of work, when it comes to whether it's socializing, business, or again, increasing your status, is the lack of neediness. That's like one of the biggest filters. Everyone's like, how needy, how needy? It's like you just feel it off someone. Neediness is like cancer. Literally, it's social cancer.
I want to jump in here. I'm going to be real with you. Yesterday, I met one of the most attractive people I met in my life, honestly, doing nothing. Like, you guys would be like, oh, and like doing nothing. And I literally was marveling as I left, like, that's pretty trippy that it's that easy. And we've been talking today, and like, I'm literally like looking at the social media, I'm like, whoa, I'll show you later. And literally, and I was actually asking myself, I'm like, what was the driver of that? Like, what drove that? And it was just the point that I don't think I felt a shred of neediness. Mm-hmm. I really didn't. I just talk so normal that it would make sense for us to be in touch. It wasn't even me that suggested to be in touch. And that will happen more and more when you take down the neediness, because the neediness creates a wall. It's this weird taker vibe, no matter how subtle it is. It can even be this thin shellac of neediness. Now, if you're feeling needy, go talk to people anyway. Don't let that hold you back. Don't say, oh, I'm feeling this. I'm not Eckhart Tolle right now. Oh my. Okay, then what you do is you just own it and you go from there. Even in your most needy state, you still have to be able to talk to people and communicate. You have to be able to communicate authentically from whatever state you're in.
Laugh at it.
But yeah, laugh at it.
Be like, I'm very needy right now. I should have watched more of Julian and Owen's videos. Hello.
We recommend that. And then make them fall. Okay, but then from there, what you also have is you can still move towards your ideal. So you know that complete, utter non-neediness is the ideal, but if you're feeling needy, take action anyway, okay? Now notice what I'm doing. How are we getting into this state? One of it is the kind of release work that Julian teaches at Transformation Mastery. That is so powerful because it creates a baseline of non-neediness, that kind of work. So excited for you guys. But going deeper, it's also in the action that you're taking. So much like in physical intimacy, it's that repeated motion and action that gets you out of your head. So when we're up here speaking, something that I do is I just embrace the silence and I just feel each word. And as I feel each word, I get present to the moment, and I feel a light level of euphoria. It's like not on the level of taking Molly, although I've never taken it, but I'm very sure it's not, because I'm not grinding my teeth. I'm sweating, but I'm not grinding my teeth. But, okay, sorry. Okay, the light fingers. I remember, I'm gonna say something nasty. I remember, I've never thought a super negative thought about other people in a long time. I was at this rave and I saw these two kids on Molly doing this finger thing in front of each other, just looking at their brain cooking, like this. I'm just like, if my kids ever do that, I'm ending it. Okay, sorry. Okay, so anyway, like I'm like, you could do anything you want, but I cannot find you grinding your teeth in a club, like okay, sorry. Okay, but anyway, delete. Yes, we're all awesome. Okay, so I know a lot of you guys have done. I'm sorry for dissing you. Okay, so look, I still want your business. I take it back. Yes, man, society. No. Yes, man, society. Do it. Lights. You can still get success with that. Okay, so using our method, you can fry your. Okay, so can I really? Yes. You probably can. Most people party. I'm the weird one. I'm just jealous. Okay, that's really what it was. It was jealousy that I don't get. Okay, back on track. So what I do is, I basically, just kidding. What I do is I sit there. It was a moment. I just sit there and I just feel each word. And you get a buzz off it. It's that presence of the moment, but a lot of people require a chemical to be put in their mind. They don't know how to let the serotonin kind of drip. They don't know how to let the dopamine drip, like that little drip. And so what happens is the longer that you're present and you just engage with each word and you merge your energy into each word, it's almost like hooking up with somebody, but it's different, clearly. We're not going there, okay? Final exercise, no, okay, you see the idea? Okay, but you get a high off of it. And now what happens to us is we believe that we have to hook up with somebody, or we have to get money, or we have to get some kind of accolades to feel that. But remember I was saying that you've been disconnected from your potential? Trust me, I've had a lot of material success, and there's nothing that I can get in terms of material success that will give me the high of just getting present. That doesn't mean not to go after material success, as you've seen when I'll sell. But there's a high that you get that, because it's not mutually exclusive, guys, okay? But there's a high that you get when you get present to the moment, okay? This is why we want you releasing trauma, letting go. We want you to know what your control muscle is and your release muscle. Control muscle is like the oars on the boat. You can paddle frantically if you need to. Those oars are there for a reason. But the release muscle is like throwing up the sail. And then you still have the rudder here and you can kind of let it move, but it's moving it for you. And then occasionally you get in a weird sticky situation, and that's what the oars are for, in that weird sticky situation. That's why we need to have thinking. We might even need to feel certain pain. That's there as an indication, and it can help us. It all exists for a reason. Everything in our psyche exists for a reason. You don't need to disown it. You can actually own that petty part of yourself. It's a very beautiful part of you that has a lot of use. But the problem is when it controls you, right? It's like if you have a horse, is the horse helping you, or are you just being dragged around into a tree? And that's most of us with our thinking and those control muscles, is it's dragging us around and it's pummeling us. And there's a lot of agenda from a lot of dark forces that are pushing us into that mode to make us that battery, is my opinion. I mean, I could do a whole documentary on this, just like a 2-hour like Netflix, like, and it'd be like, by the end of it, people will be like, whoa, they see things very differently. I like corporations, by the way, but I do. I think we're here with a corporation. Corporations made the light, the camera. Like those Sony cameras are awesome. Zeiss lenses, those are corporations. We're a corporation. I love that stuff. But there is a degree to which it can, I love it, but I think that we also have to understand it. Does that make sense? Like we can love social media, but we have to also understand how it's affecting us.
Yeah. I guess the last thing to really ponder on is just the idea of core confidence. This idea where there's core confidence and situational confidence. Situational is, say you're a boss and at work, you're probably going to be a little bit more confident than out meeting strangers, right? Due to the situation. Now go a little deeper than that. It's not just a situation like, oh, am I at work or not at work, right? It's also depending on, for example, a certain line. Depending on having a certain amount of money. Depending on looking a certain way. You don't want your confidence to depend on anything. And it goes hand in hand with what he just said in terms of, oh, I need the money to get there. It's like, no, you can access that state right now. That's the definition of core confidence. There's nothing missing right now.
We know what you're afraid of, though. Tell us. We already know. Why are you afraid to have confidence whether you're successful or not? What's the reason? Tell us. We already know what it is. Why are you afraid to feel good right now, to be happy right now, to let go right now, to be confident right now, if you don't have all the accolades? What's the reason you're afraid? Tell us. What's that? That's interesting. Well, I heard a couple interesting answers. What's your answer? Fear of loss. So you know what's funny? I think we're moving the room energetically a little bit here, but there's an answer we normally get. What's your answer?
People would have no more purpose.
People would have no more purpose. So their fear, and that's the answer that most people will give. And I felt it. Julian's felt it. Let me be honest. I feel it at times now because I'll sort of come in and out of this. So at a moment where I'm just kind of not in a good zone, I'll start thinking like that too. And I have my moments. You know, do you guys see the video that we made where I was like showing me like spazzing out? Did you see the one on Julian's channel? I'm open about it, right? Did you guys see that? It showed me having like this crazy pain body attack and screaming into my WhatsApp. Did you guys see it? Yeah, see, I'm not fronting up here, right? Like I'll show you my weak moments too. I'm not just like, oh, you know, I'll show you. I'm like, did you see how much pain I had in my pupil? I was like, it was like super crazy, right? But bottom line is that we have a fear that that if we became confident for no reason or happy for no reason, we would lose motivation, right? We'd lose drive, right? I got this fly in my head this whole seminar. Maybe we'd lose the drive to get rid of it, okay? So I'm like, this is weird. So, well, you know, the joke of that was what I said earlier in the seminar. You remember? The flies thing, and now this is the first seminar I ever had a fly on me. Okay, so, like literally. So we have a fear, but right now, when me and Julian are sharing up here, are we doing so from a space of we feel bad, and until we do a certain seminar, we feel good? What's the space we're coming from now?
Abundance.
See, the problem is, we talked about how to get energy. You feed off it energetically with what you're doing. If you're doing it because you need that outcome to be happy, it actually sucks you of energy. It's frenetic. But what happens is when you already feel good, you'll want to share that joy. You can't help it. You want to. You ever been mad and you just want to make someone else really mad? You're mad, you want to yell at them. You ever have your significant other, you got mad, you want to make them mad? Come on. It's okay, guys. We've all done it, right? Okay, the girls in the room, you can tell me. No, you're saints, okay? You never had that, okay. So, okay, we all do it. We all do it. Everybody does it. So that when you're in a bad mood, you'll feel a need to spread negative energy. It's really sad that we do it, but we do it. Likewise, when we're in a great mood, we want to spread positive energy. Whatever energy we're receiving, we're going to want to spread it. So when we want to give and we get present, we open ourselves up to receiving positive energy. That's why it's so important that we learn how to release. Because if we're festering with negative energy, what do we attract? We become a receptor point for more negative energy. It's so critical to let go, because if we don't, we keep attracting more of it and we go further in the derb state. That's what we're saying to you guys when we look in your pupil. Because right now I'm looking at most of your pupil and we're creating a non-judgment environment, and a lot of you look very awake. A lot more awake than you looked earlier. I know that you're probably tired too. We've been here a lot of hours, but you see the general idea. I can see that, right? So when we're trying to teach you, we're trying to show you how to access that so that you don't have your life just burn by in this weird derb state, and also a lot less professional success. You wind up not getting what you want anyway. We want to show you how to be able to outcompete because you're feeding off infinite energy. You know, you'll need to have downtime. There's yin and yang, but it'll change the ratio of that dramatically. And you're not going to resonate with things that hurt you more. A lot of time when you're in control, you resonate with ways of healing that are actually hurting you further. That's why most people on the weekend, what are they doing to relax and burn off steam? Because they're in so much control that they have to poison their brain to even turn it off. They're physically at a point where they need chemicals and poisons to turn their brain off. Sometimes things are so much in plain sight, we don't ponder them. Consider the degree of alcohol in our world. Think about that for a minute. It's so much in plain sight, we don't even question it. But how bizarre that is. Yeah. What does that tell you about the state of our society?
Derb.
Mm-hmm. You like derb. Thank you. You're listening. Yeah. You got it.
In terms of that fear of like losing the drive, remember this: misery tends to be our first teacher. Don't let it be your last. Meaning, what gets us to this point, usually to say, start working on ourselves, getting into this type of work, is some kind of miserable event. Whether it's over the course of your life, you're like, you know what, enough's enough. It's like that misery that gives you the drive, or you just experience something that makes you feel like such a pathetic person. You're like, I gotta do something about it. So it might give you that spark, but it's not what'll carry you to, you know, the gold, you could say. It's like you gotta let go, and like when you let go of being motivated by, say, misery, fear, scarcity, and you shift to, as cheesy as it sounds, love and abundance, it's a lot more powerful. You enjoy it every step of the way. And again, it gives you that energy instead of taking. You know, instead of you like running away, like the fear, and people sense it. It's like and guess what? Here's the other thing to ponder. If you think that, man, if I stop feeling miserable, I won't be motivated. It's like, what are you even doing? It's like, why do you need those things? Like, I need to be motivated to make money, and et cetera, et cetera. It's like, why do you need that if even when you get it, you're still not going to let go of that fear of being miserable? Because you're hooked on it. It's like, are you just going to spend your entire life miserable, getting superficial results, but not enjoying it because you're still hooked on miserable? You got to commit. It's like, why do you want those things to not be miserable? Start there. In
lower level paradigms, the key marker of it is that everything has to be hard. Mm-hmm. everything has to be difficult. You know, you want to go do something, oh, I don't have the money to do it. I'm too tired. I don't have the energy to do it. There's no opportunity. Everything has to be difficult, and it feels so real. So you've got to always be pushing into your abundance. You'll see it to where, you know, I will see this in myself. I'll tell you why. I've recorded myself like crazy. I can see speeches that I do that are amazing. I see speeches that I do that are mediocre or not that great. I'll do hidden camera work, as you're aware, with my dating stuff, and I'll see when I crush it, and I'll see when I don't. And it's always that I'm making it harder than it has to be. I want to make it easy, so I'm gaining energy from it. And that there, like we said, is that release muscle. I've been speaking for weeks. You're probably having a moment seeing this, right? Because Julian knows what my level is. He knows me way too well for this stuff. And you know the grind I just came off of. And I know that you're sitting here watching this going, this guy's in another level right now. You remember I texted you? I was like, I'm in another level right now. Literally, event. Some of you guys know, right? You came to LA 4-day, LA 5-day, New York 4-day, New York 5-day, Hawaii, recorded nonstop and all these things. Product launch, and I've done this for months. Look at this. I'm in another level. Remember I told you this? And I texted you, and I'm like, you're gonna think I'm crazy? I've been crushing these. I did this by accident. I was on 4 hours sleep for a week. Imagine you had 1 day of 4 hours sleep. Look at me right now. I'm in another, you remember I said to you, I'm like, we should focus on other stuff now. I'm in like another level. I'm literally in another level. Like, I literally just kept trying to get this down and tweaking. A lot of what we're teaching you here, I had to keep tweaking my brain. I'm like, gotta dig deeper. How do I do it? And it all came down to that release muscle. It's like I wake up on 4 hours sleep, I'm like, not again. This is way too much. This is ridiculous. I mean, maybe the joke will be on me when I die of like a heart attack at 52, right? You're like, oh, Mr. Release Man, got your sleep. You know, and I'm like, you know, right? Who knows, right? I'm not saying I'm the perfect case, but I definitely have been hitting new levels of this. It's like speaking's getting easier. Product creation's getting easier. Dating advice stuff that I teach, just crushing it. Like on levels I never thought I could. Results-wise, whoa. Whoa, whoa, whoa. And I talked to you about that person I met last night who's just very attractive. It's just so easy. It's just getting easier. And by the way, look, I'm on my journey just like you guys, okay? I'm a little further up the road in this one area, just like how all of you are further up the road in areas that Julie and I are, right? You might know accounting better than us. Maybe you know about real estate better than us. Maybe you know how to flip a hamburger better than us. And this is a cool thing to know. Honestly, it doesn't get paid as well, but it's pretty cool, right? I'm sitting there flipping the hamburger. I'm like, I don't know what to do. You're like, release. I'm like, it's not working. You know, I burned it, right? So, you know, so you're all further up the road in areas that we may not be. Women in this room are further up the road in emotional intuitiveness than Julian and I are probably. You'll have gifts that we may not have. Or maybe you don't want to stereotype you. I don't care, okay? Whatever it is, okay? Whatever you want to hear. But the main thing I'm saying is this. We have just put some work in here. We've pushed ourselves. And a lot of this came from the work that we did with guys in dating advice and seeing where they struggle and us kind of being like, well, we can only take you so far within a certain paradigm. So we want to push different paradigms. That's why we created TM. It's why we created a lot of my self-help stuff. It was because we didn't want to pander to the masses and just tell them what they want to hear. We want to take them to whole different levels, different paradigms, and show you a lot of cool stuff that we've been experiencing, sharing that with you. So that's why it's been a great privilege to share that with you guys here today. So we're going to do a final exercise, but this has been a great joy to be here today. Thank you guys so much for being here. It really means a lot. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you. Thank you guys. Thank you. Thanks guys. It's fun.